Hey, welcome back everyone. First off, some breaking news. Floods in China are nearing biblical proportions. Rains have lasted over 30 days and they are continuing. And many other disasters are hitting China all at once, including tornadoes, hailstorms, torrents, mudslides, and earthquakes. And this is in addition to a possible new virus outbreak from a virus similar to the swine flu and also expected locust swarms. Now in Chongqing, videos are showing large-scale mudslides rushing towards highways, and residents were warned by officials that they may be in danger of floodwaters if they live below the 4th floor in their buildings. They're saying waters could rise over 600 feet. In Sichuan, upstream of the Three Gorges Dam, a 4.5 magnitude earthquake hit on July 2nd, and there are increased warnings of a failure in the Three Gorges Dam. Meanwhile, 4 newspaper distributors of the Epoch Times were arrested in Hong Kong. They were released the following day on bail, but police kept their clothes and posters, saying they would be held for evidence in an investigation. The arrests follow the CCP's creation of new national security laws that allow the Chinese regime to extend its laws into Hong Kong, and these criminalize many forms of dissent and criticisms of the Chinese Communist Party. And meanwhile, in the United States and Australia, they're looking now to grant refugee status to Hong Kong residents who are looking to escape possible persecution under these new national security laws. And this follows a move from the United Kingdom that may give Hong Kongers a road to citizenship. And meanwhile in Beijing, new virus update, an entire shopping mall was locked down after a woman was diagnosed with the CCP virus. A video of this has gone viral. It shows this woman named Miss Xie crying in the Wanda Plaza shopping mall in Shijiazhuang, Beijing. Her test results from the China-Japan Friendship Hospital came in positive while she was shopping, and the mall was cleared of all customers and locked down afterwards. The mall is located next to the office of the CCP's Beijing Shijiazhuang Committee. Now that said, folks, before we jump into it, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, really need your help supporting this channel. Now that said, let's go into the first story for today. Now we'll be doing a deep dive into this on why would TikTok be spying on Americans. This was recently revealed when Jeremy Burge, head of the online emoji directory Emojipedia, shared a video showing alerts of data being transferred by TikTok each time he typed a keystroke on his phone. Now, in other words, TikTok was keylogging users, according to what he showed. Anything you typed on your phone may have been seen by whoever TikTok was sending the data to. And the world only came to learn this was happening because of a new security feature in iOS 14 for iPhones that gives users notifications when an app is collecting user data. Now, Apple had added the new security feature after finding an issue with iOS 14 that let apps secretly access the clipboard of iPhones and iPads, and users would have no way of knowing if data was being monitored. Security researchers noted that TikTok appeared to be monitoring this data. For anyone familiar with TikTok's shady history, this should not have come as a surprise. Now in October 2019, in a bipartisan move, Senators Chuck Schumer and Tom Cotton sent a letter to Acting Director of National Intelligence Joseph McGuire to assess TikTok and other Chinese-owned content platforms for possible national security risks. They note that TikTok is owned by Beijing-based technology company ByteDance, which runs other content platforms in China, and they noted this, quote, TikTok's terms of service and privacy policies describe how it collects data from users and their devices, including user content and communications, IP addresses, location-related data, device identifiers, cookies, metadata, and other sensitive personal information. And they noted that while ByteDance, this Chinese company that owns it, says TikTok doesn't operate in China and stores data from its US users in the United States, quote, ByteDance is still required to adhere to the laws of China. Now, they noted several issues with Chinese tech companies, including their adherence to Chinese state censorship, and also wrote this, quote, Security experts have voiced concerns that China's vague patchwork of intelligence, national security, and cybersecurity laws compel Chinese companies to support and cooperate with intelligence work controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And so what does that mean? Although TikTok itself might not be directly involved in espionage, as some people might believe, being owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company, means that it has to follow Chinese law. That it has no choice otherwise. And part of that law requires that you give the Chinese Communist Party access to any data it wants. They say under the national security law, all data needs to be secure and controllable by the Chinese Communist Party. Now let's talk about some of the background of this and some important pieces that a lot of people may have forgotten. So who is behind ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok? The founder and CEO of the company is Zhang Yiming, and a statement he issued in 2018 should have been taken as a serious red flag over the security of TikTok. Now, Zhang was forced to write a public apology letter after being accused of not following the Chinese Communist Party's guidelines close enough. Now, he wrote in April 2018 that the problems his company faced emerged from a poor understanding of how to implement the four consciousnesses. And this referred to a directive of CCP leader Xi Jinping going back to January 2016. China Media Project described the four consciousnesses as, quote, political consciousness, namely primary consideration of political priorities when addressing issues, consciousness of the overall situation or of the overarching priorities of the party and government, core consciousness, meaning to follow and protect Xi Jinping as the leadership core, and four, integrity consciousness, referring to the need to fall in line with the party. In other words, these four consciousnesses, these policies these companies have to abide by, mean that they have to follow the party's state, the Chinese Communist Party, and they cannot deviate from that at any level. Zhang stated in a letter, quote, I profoundly reflect on the fact that a deep-level cause of the recent problems in my company is a weak understanding and implementation of the four consciousnesses of Xi Jinping. He says then, deficiencies in education of the socialist core values and deviation from public opinion guidance. All along we have placed excessive emphasis on the role of technology, and we have not acknowledged that technology must be led by the socialist core value system, broadcasting positive energy, suiting the demands of the era, and respecting common convention. So what does that mean? He apologized for not supporting the Chinese Communist Party's directives close enough. This was in 2018. And as his promise to rectify the problems, Zhang wrote that he would focus on 1. Strengthening the work of party construction, carrying out education among our entire staff of the four consciousnesses, socialist core values, correct guidance of public opinion, and laws and regulations, truly acting on the company's social responsibility. And so in other words, as his promise to remedy what he was being attacked for, he said that he would align his company with the four consciousnesses and to use it to support the, say, directives of the Chinese Communist Party. And in addition to other points, he said that he would focus on, quote, further deepening cooperation with the authoritative official party media, elevating distribution of authoritative media content, ensuring that authoritative official party media voices are broadcast to strength. In other words, he promised to use the platforms he has to broadcast the mouthpieces of the CCP. And it was shortly after this, after Zhang issued this public apology and stated his promise to more closely follow the CCP and its directives, that TikTok began hitting it big in the United States. This happened around October 2018 after they merged with music.ly on August 2nd, 2018. But the broader story here goes a lot further than TikTok. This is a broader trend within the Chinese Communist Party and the different companies operating from there. You might remember the CEO behind popular teleconferencing app Zoom, Eric Yuan, admitted that Zoom was routing US data through servers in China, although he claimed this was done mistakenly. And the issue with Zoom also followed a pattern seen with other Chinese companies. For example, in June 2019, a huge amount of European mobile device traffic was diverted through systems controlled by China Telecom, which is a state-owned company under the Chinese regime's China Telecommunications Corp. And this followed a similar incident in April 2010, when an estimated 15% of the world's internet traffic was again routed through China Telecom networks. In other words, it's been caught doing this twice now, at least. Now, the action was regarded as a form of cyber attack known as IP hijacking, yet this was done on a massive scale. Again, 15% of global internet traffic routed through their networks. And only recently the Pentagon listed China Telecom along 19 other Chinese companies as being backed by the Chinese military. Among the other Chinese companies on the list are China Mobile, Hikvision, and the increasingly infamous Chinese telecommunications company Huawei. And now this brings up another important point. What does the Chinese Communist Party want personal data on Americans for? Now, this comes amid other bizarre cases where the FBI revealed that the cyber criminals behind the 2017 breach of credit company Equifax, which stole personal data from around 145 million Americans, was none other than a group of soldiers in the Chinese military's 54 Research Institute. And even then, the significance of that military branch was vastly overlooked. Who is the 54 Research Institute? They are listed under the Strategic Support Force of the People's Liberation Army. But before the Chinese military was reorganized and they were placed under that branch under Xi Jinping, the military branch was under the General Staff Department, 4th Department. What's the significance of that? That was the electronics intelligence branch of the Chinese military's warfighting department. So what does the personal data of Americans have to do with warfighting? Why would the warfighting branch of the Chinese military be stealing the data, personal data, of millions of Americans? And why would the Chinese regime care about seeing the text messages, video conferences, and internet activities of average Americans? This is where the big picture comes in. The Epoch Times reported going back to February 2016 that the Chinese Communist Party was building a database on Americans. An insider source who was close to the program in China revealed that the CCP was expanding its own systems for high-tech surveillance and monitoring, such as under its social credit system, to include Americans as well. Now, according to this insider, the Chinese Communist Party has built the database needed to make use of the massive trove of stolen data. He said that to create the spy database, the CCP brought a small group of independent software developers from the United States who then worked alongside Chinese security branches to build this system. Now, the source at the time requested to have his name withheld in fear of reprisal from the CCP, but other sources confirmed this man's identity and said that he would have access to the kind of information he gave to the Epoch Times. In the past, he also provided Epoch Times with significant information about confidential matters in China that also proved to be accurate. Now, the new system that he explained was part of a broader shift in the Chinese regime's efforts for espionage and social control. With that database, the CCP is now able to keep tabs on foreigners in very much the same way that it has kept tabs on its own citizens, their connections, and their political opinions. Chinese spy agencies finished building that system, he said, around July 2013. And the timing of this coincided with the March 2014 incident where Chinese hackers tried and failed to breach the Office of Personnel Management. Now, this is something they later did succeed at doing, and that exposed the background checks of an estimated 21.5 million U.S. government workers to Chinese spies. Now, the source said that one of the leading organizations that was involved with building this project was the 61 Research Institute, which is one of the 4 known institutes under the 3rd Department of the General Staff Department. Now, the Epoch Times exposed this in a previous investigation, that the 61 Research Institute, again, is one of the leading organizations behind the CCP's state-run cyber attacks. The organization itself is led by a man named Wang Jianxin. He's the son of Wang Zheng, who helped establish the CCP's signals intelligence operations under Mao Zedong. And now, while the 61 Research Institute's role in the project ties to its global cyber espionage, this source told the Epoch Times that many other Chinese domestic security branches were also involved in building the system, including various branches of the police and about 6 branches of the secret police. The function of the system and the departments involved in it suggests that it will be used not only as a database on foreigners, but also as a system to better monitor the Chinese people. The source noted that one of its functions would be to gather information on individuals from all available sources in China and outside China that can be used in criminal trials. Now, the claims from the insider were later substantiated in April 2019 in comments from Representative Chris Stewart while he was commenting on the Chinese regime's breach of OPM. And he stated this, quote, "They can run through those 23 million names in a heartbeat and connect dots in a heartbeat." And he added, quote, "Have we seen evidence that they've done this? Absolutely." And so why does that matter again? The Chinese Communist Party has been caught on multiple occasions stealing personal information on Americans, and information that notably they were not apparently using for financial gain. And so if it was not for financial gain, what were they doing it for? This is why what has happened with TikTok is something the world should be paying attention to. Now, were they involved in the system? We can't be sure. But we can say that the Chinese Communist Party has a history of using companies like this. And the head of ByteDance himself admitted in his public letter, again criticizing himself, stating that he would act at the behest of Chinese authorities, apologizing that he had not done enough of that previously, and said that he would do so going forward right ahead of the international, popularity of TikTok. Now again, folks, with that said, we broadcast Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, so please be sure to tune in. With that said, please take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and stay free.